Okay, it is 6:01, so we will start the special meeting of the Neighborhood Improvement Commission for the City of Seaside. Today is Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 6 o'clock. And we will move to item 2, which is the roll call, please.
Alex Miller,
Here.
Ramona Aleda Reed, Dennis Alexander, Shonda LaBeouf,
Here.
Veronica Velasco,
Here.
Ray Reardon,
Ramona, I didn't hear you, so could you unmute and say that you're here, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here, Jackie.
Okay,
thank you.
so that makes 4 commissioners, which makes it so we have a quorum. So at this time, we will move on to item 3, and item 3 is public comment. So was there any public comments entered into the record?
No, sir, none have been received.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to item 4. Item 4 is our business for today, and our special meeting, we have one item, and that's item A, consideration of request from Parks and Rec Committee should be commissioned for $38,200 of NIC transient occupancy tax funds for park improvement projects. And it's my understanding that the staff has an update. Then we'll move on to Franco. Did you want to say anything?
I mean, everything we said last week is pretty accurate. These are 2 important park projects that increase accessibility, make our parks better, and then a final project that keeps us in Tree City, USA, and improves the environment and makes a great impact. I know Commissioner Miller sent out an amazing packet. That's everything we need to say. I think this is the right thing to do unless we have information that I don't have. So.
Okay, thank you for that. And Mr. Little, was there any communication about one of these projects possibly being funded another way?
Well, I can share with you the information that I received that the city intends to move forward with the project. And if NIC would like to dedicate some funds towards the project to underscore their support, that's welcomed, and it would be appreciated. If they would prefer not to dedicate funds towards the project, that's okay too. So that's the information that I have, that the city intends to move forward with the project.
Okay. So again, commissioners' comments or any questions here? And please let the record reflect that Commissioner Alexander is present. Any
Sorry,
comments?
Alex, did you ask for
Go ahead.
comment?
Yes.
Okay. Franco, would you mind, I'm sorry, I'm a few minutes late, but if you haven't already tonight, would you mind just real briefly talking about what the project entails again?
Sure, it's 3 separate projects. The first one is Luna Grande, which has been the accessibility swing for accessibility swing and then handicap access and ADA walkway for that. The second one was a Highland Notice. That is also to do ADA access, and it's also to add commemorative pathway for veterans, a seahorse rider, which is a type of children's device on a playground. I'm sorry, I can't describe that better. A swing set and a bench. And the final part is to plant 17 trees in our parks to give better homes to wildlife, increase our tree count, and also, improve the environment. And then on that project, we actually have stewards already in place to help maintain those trees and everything else. It's actually a pretty small amount compared to everything else. But that's all the projects, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you.
Further questions?
And one more, if I may.
Please. Yes, thank you.
Alex, the chair.
Yes, please. Thank you.
And this is a joint effort, I'm assuming? Get a connection from these data.
Is that question for Mr. Miller?
For Franco, for you, or anybody, I didn't quite get that from the.
I mean, I think this came about by the NAC being willing to redirect funds our direction in exchange for the seaside sign on that progress. I guess the effort is then that we'd be collaborating. You guys will be helping us give the funds so we can make sure these projects get started and done sometime in our lifetime.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner LeBeouf?
Go ahead.
You said what if we don't get this done with our help, Mr. Little, the city is still going to go through with it. How would it be done more quickly with our help, or would it be more beneficial? Would it be done faster with the city's help, or with the city doing it? Which would be more beneficial?
Well, that's a good question, but I don't know that I could answer that question. I don't know what the time frame is, and so maybe our city manager's on the line, and maybe he could help.
I'll be happy to take a crack at the answer. It doesn't really affect the timing of the project at all. It's really just a question of, does NIC want to, be involved as a funding partner or not? And sometimes boards and commissions like to say that they're part of a project, and we welcome that, appreciate that. Sometimes boards and commissions are comfortable with the city taking on the project. We're good with that too. So either way, we'll get it done.
Okay, thank you.
Franco and then Ramona.
I have a question then. So Mr. Little, just for clarification, because I'm, again, not very bright, and it's pretty clear. You had stated one project has funding, not all three. Is that correct? Or not? We're saying that one possibly has funding, not all three are going to happen no matter what?
Well, the project that I was talking about was the Highland Otis Park. I think, yeah, I don't know that was the information I had was about the Highland Otis Park. So
I guess redirect then, Mr. City Manager, then are you speaking of all three projects or one project, or?
Well, I appreciate that question. I don't know the exact right answer to that. I was made aware today that there was some discussion of Highland Otis, so I chatted both with our assistant city manager and our city engineer, and then looped in our building official, Mr. Little, and that's what I was here to convey, that again, whether or not the NIC wants to dedicate funds to that project, that thing is going to move forward. Be happy to talk about the other ones at the next meeting.
Franco, were you set, or do you have another question?
No, that answers everything. So, I mean, just to reiterate, the Parks Commission is looking to collaborate on the three separate projects to make sure they move forward. The information we got today is something I am just hearing, so I don't know how to react to that beyond smile that in some way something's moving forward, and that's a win.
Alex, do you ready?
Ramona?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know if the right word is disclose, but I am a member of FOSPA, Friends of Seaside Parks Association, and they are really devouring a lot of time into Highland Otis. And because FOSPA is a 501c, those funds can be probably received through grants that we apply for annually. I don't know how it looks now with the COVID situation. But out of all the three projects, I think Highland Otis would be the one, if ever, the one our commission should think about, because again, FOSPA is a 501c group. They're not appointed by the city, and that's what we're supposed to do, get funding to help out with different parks. I know it's the city's responsibility, but that's why FOSPA was created, to help with these seaside city parks. So just want to disclose that information.
Okay. Further questions or discussion?
Alex,
So if I understand, yes, please. Go ahead.
why don't you go first? I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Well, I was just curious, the Highland Otis Park does have funding already, or it does not have funding? I'm just a little bit confused about where we are with the Highland Otis.
They do indeed have funds. I think the city is holding 70 grand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. City Manager, or whomever's out there that knows that.
Let's go to the manager, and then we'll go to Councilmember Pacheco.
It's my understanding, well, the short answer is yes. My understanding that the latest estimate was about $19,000 more than what was previously allocated, but $19,000 is within my position's budget authority. So again, we're moving forward with that project. I will also say this, that life is very challenging at the city these days. We have a small staff to begin with. We are going to be down 2 members of our engineering department, so that others will have to step up in order to make sure the project moves forward. But we're a team, and we will do that. We're happy to do that.
Councilmember Pacheco? Just need you to unmute.
He's muted.
Thank you for allowing me to join the meeting, and thank you for providing the information and encouraging that I participate at some level. As the city manager noted, and what parts I caught were that the council approved funds for the Highland Otis Park to complete the project. And I think that's a goal, and the objective is to see that park finish up after probably a 6 to 10-year-old effort to getting where it is, where it needs to be. If the commission obviously can recommend to the council what they wish. If funds are already there to complete the project, I think the commission on a personal level needs to decide if you want to assist in that area, if it has to go with the city manager's discretion as noted, or you want to look at another project or another effort with the Parks and Recreation Commission. And again, thank you to Ramona and to Alex Commission for allowing me the opportunity to share some thoughts.
Franco?
Sure. Well, first, Mr. Malin, we appreciate everything you and your staff do.
Yeah.
It's awesome we have a special meeting for this. As the Park and Recreation Liaison, it sounds, and this is just, let me set that back. As Franco Pacheco, maybe not speaking for the entire Parks and Rec department, I would say, I don't know if there's funding already towards Highland Otis. I'm not sure it makes sense for you guys to push funding there where we could find some other use for that money. However, I will ask if you guys decide not to fund Highland Otis, to at least move forward with the tree planting effort in Laguna Grande Park, and then maybe let us go back. I can go back to Parks and Rec and say, look, we had $20,000 allocated for Highland Otis, but it's no longer a needed funding, and see if hopefully with some help from our staff, what 20,000 might equal for another park. But I really hope we can at least move forward with Laguna Grande and the tree projects. Those two things are really important. I also know Commissioner Nielsen, who can't be here tonight, put so much work in. We have stewards lined up, and I think the environmental impact is significant and goes in line with what the city's been doing with solar panels and everything else Mr. Mayo's been pressing. And I just think it really would be fantastic. That's my plea.
Commissioner Alexander?
I've forever, when I was on the NIC prior to being on the council, and now always thought that when commissions can work together, they should. We're all one city, and wherever we can find a way to, especially a big project, to make a mark, if you, and if we can even get it, have some of the media put some light on it, put some light on the city, and that's always a good thing. So, I'd like that. So anyway, I just want to say that I think it's a good idea. I thought it was all one project at first. I'm a little confused whether it's 3 projects or 1, but I just want to say that, Councilman Pacheco had mentioned what the council is expecting. And, I think that we should all be on the same page with that. So, unless there's some other discussion that needs to be had, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay. Is there any other comments? At this point, there's the discussion of the 20,000 on Highland Otis, and it could be funded somewhere else. So, I would say that we should fund the first project, their first request, and their third request, and at this time, and then come back on the Highland Otis. That's my position. But Mr. Alexander, if you're ready.
Alex, I didn't get your last part there, but if you said that you're ready for a motion, I'm willing to make one.
I think there's one more comment, Commissioner LeBeau.
Well, why don't we break it up then, instead of making like one, if there's concerns, instead of making it one big motion, because I have concerns as well. I'm perfectly fine with doing the trees and the Laguna Grande, the trees and the first part, the ADA pathways. I think we need more discussion, for the Highland Otis, because I don't have enough information. I think there's more. I think we're rushing that part a bit. I don't know. Is it me, or is it just the way that is anybody else getting that feeling?
I agree with you, Shanda. Shanda, I'm feeling uneasy about, even though I'm with FOSP, I just feel uneasy about giving that money to them. Don't tell anyone I said that. No, it's not the money aspect. I just want to know if the city's going to do it, and then if they've got $70,000, and then we're giving them an additional 20,000 for that part. Am I missing something? Or what am I? They currently have 70, is that right, Dave? Are you still on? I think it's 70 that the city was holding for them.
Mr. Manager?
As Councilmember Pacheco noted, the council's directive was really to fund the work necessary. So at the NIC level, please don't worry about $20,000. So whether we have 90 or 70 is really like an accounting exercise, and this was the accounting committee. We'd have a good discussion about that. We have enough money. I think the question for NIC, as I understand it, is does NIC want to direct $20,000 to that project? Again, it's not necessary. It's appreciated if you want to do it. It's appreciated if you want to move that money to some other project.
Franco?
Sure. Just so, I mean, I don't think, okay. I am of the opinion, being a member of the Parks Commission, that getting Laguna Grande funded and the trees funded is really important. And I would love if that was a motion by, I'm not telling you guys what to do. It'd be great if that was the motion, and then you don't fund Highland Otis because there is funding for it. And then we have another 20,000 we can talk about collaborating on a different project with, and that's fantastic. It'd be really, really great if we could move forward with those two things and then not give money where money is already in existence. It's like buying a lemonade stand. We don't need to build a whole other stand on top of the stand and stack it like 3 times high.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm
Yeah.
feeling, that's what I'm feeling. Okay.
Good point, Franco. Or
Are
well
we
said.
good? Okay. Commissioner Alexander?
Just one quick question: is the 70,000 that the city is holding for the Highland Otis currently, is that enough to cover what the project needs, according to the city and according to FOSSA? And if not, how much more for that project will it need? And the reason I ask is because even though FOSSA is a 501c3 at these times, most funding organizations are looking at human services with the COVID-19 pandemic and not at other things. So will that be enough to totally fund that project? I guess that's for the city manager.
Okay, $70,000 is not enough to fund the project, but the other 19,000 is not something anyone on this call needs to worry about, because in a $25 million budget, I can find $19,000. It's not that hard. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Councilor Pacheco?
Just a simple thought. And the city manager can correct me if I'm wrong. In the December meeting when this was approved, the word completed was in the report, that the work would be completed for Highland Otis Park. If you make a recommendation to spend 20,000, and I'm not telling you what to do at all, any recommendations that you make will have to go, be it on trees or the park, will have to go to the city council. If that part of that is Highland Otis Park, someone would say, and probably me, I thought this would be was already totally approved. And why are we coming back at it again when something was totally approved and it totally funded? So you're kind of, as Mr. Pacheco suggests, you're kind of stacking boxes of lemonade on top of lemonade when the first box of lemonade fed the entire commission. And again, just to be repetitive, it would have to go to the council, and the community might wonder, why are we refunding something when you've already funded in your report that it's been funded for, be it whatever reason. So I think the city manager has a very valid point in his commentary, and I appreciate his efforts in that regard.
Yeah. I think he nailed it.
Commissioner Alexander?
Well, I mean, that clears up a lot, and thank you, Councilman. So that clears up a lot, and if we're ready, then I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I'll make the motion that we do help
Go ahead.
Parks and Rec in their funding for the project, concentrating on Laguna Grande and the planting of the trees.
First,
Aye. first, second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Is there any public comment?
Oh, goodness, Ramona.
Seeing no public comment on a first from Commissioner Alexander and a second from Commissioner Oleta Reed. Roll call vote, please.
Alex Miller,
Aye.
Ramona Leda Reed,
Aye.
Dennis Alexander, excuse me,
Yes.
Shanda LaBeouf,
Yes.
Veronica Velasco,
Yes.
and to confirm Ray Reardon. Still absent.
Not present.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously with us here present. So we will move forward with recommending to the city design and for Commissioner Nelson's request for planting trees and other supplies for a total of $3,200. So we're recommending $18,200. So next we will move on to item 5, and that's reports from staff.
No report.
Okay, we'll move on to item 6, commissioner reports.
Oh,
We just had a meeting, so I wouldn't be surprised if nobody had a report.
I'd like to say,
Reports?
Commissioner's report.
Yes,
Can
go
you
ahead.
hear me? Ramona here. I just wanted to ask if there's any volunteers I noticed that the portal project has a lot of weeds, and I don't see the city staff getting on their knees and pulling that. So I was thinking maybe we can get a group together like we have in the past and get that cleaned up, maybe some Saturday. Doesn't have to be, I just want to put that out there. It needs to be cleaned up, so we need to get on that some Saturday.
Thank you. I'll be in touch with everybody about that. Any other reports? All right, our next regular scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, April 6th, 2021 at 6 o'clock. That is the first meeting of the second quarter. Until then, everybody have a safe and good new year. And we will move on to item 7, which is adjournment.
I'll move.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good night.
Thank you, Alex. Great meeting.
Take care. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Councilman.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.